So we are just 5 days away from crowning the new Miss World in India, and while I'm still deciding whether I should come out with my final leaderboard for this year's edition or not due to this pageant's unpredictability, allow me to make this content to help me and you all na rin who will be the next Miss World. Because to be blunt with you guys, I am really sad that Krishna wasn't able to qualify during the Top Model Challenge, the lone challenge we were expecting her to excel. Because I have my own observations why she didn't make it, but I will just keep it to myself for the meantime. Because these are just my observations and it's still subjective. Anyhow, I know Krishna is really trying her best in everything that she has been doing because it's so hard talaga for Krishna to sustain the momentum in this almost month-long pageant. Basta all I know deep inside is Krishna has been very easy and light to follow here in Miss World. You can all see that she has been very chill, constantly pacing herself and low-key in all her actuations and demeanors in all the videos that we have seen of her on social media. Right now kasi, she has done her absolute best and it's really up to how much Julia likes her for the crown at this moment. Which brings me to this topic that I would like to share with you all at the moment. How does Julia Morley really choose her winner year in and out? Hindi nyo ba napapansin or nagtataka? Because if you all tell me it's all based on her fast track events, nope. If you are a hardcore pageant fan, it's not the ultimate barometer of determining the eventual Miss World. Because following Miss World for the past decade has made me realize these challenges do not determine the winner because we have seen so many winners in the past who did not win any of these challenges, yet came out of nowhere and took it all the way till the end. Kasi Miss World is not like Miss Universe where the criteria of judging is very transparent. Na just wow us in every pre-pageant activity with your pasabog look and do well in prelims. And that's it. Because in Miss World, you don't know who will just win. Because in Miss World, you just don't know who will win because Julia or the organization for that matter always keep their favorites close to their chests until the coronation night. Anyhow, I'll be listing down 5 to 6 observations how Julia chooses her winners for quite some time now. Let me repeat, these are just my observations based from everything that I have seen by covering them whether online or on the ground over the years. So I'm not saying that what I'm about to say here is utterly and completely right. These are just my observations over the years that I have been following them. So, here they are. So first observation, I notice that the eventual winner sometimes comes from a Commonwealth country. We all know that Miss World is a British-owned company, so this observation really makes sense. When we talk about a country belonging from the Commonwealth territories or Commonwealth of Nations, which according to Wikipedia is an evolutionary outgrowth of the British Empire wherein a number of its former dependencies have chosen to maintain ties of friendship and practical cooperation with the United Kingdom. So, if you apply it here in Miss World, it's no surprise majority of its winners in its history come from some countries part of the so-called Commonwealth nations. India, for example, has 6 Miss World title holders. South Africa and Jamaica have 3 titles at the same time. And all these countries have won in the last decade, just as how we, the Philippines, a former colony of USA and Japan, have been doing well in Miss Universe and Miss International for quite some time now. Of course, you will all say, everything naman guys depends on the girls' cumulative performances. But if you will look up at its history, there seems to be a clear preference for these countries belonging from these Commonwealth nations. And to be fair with these 3 countries, they have been consistent in sending out beautiful and eloquent contestants in this pageant and have lived up to the hype, so that's why they have been winning. But these said countries being part of the British Empire once upon a time also enhances their favoritism or chances for the crown. And this year, this observation might come true again because both Miss India and Miss South Africa are considered heavy favorites to win the title. Even Miss Australia and Miss New Zealand are now on my radar at the moment. Now we go to my second observation, which is the contestant must possess a soft and angelic packaging or the so-called Miss World prototype. This is one common observation that I've seen from majority of the winners of Miss World. They all have the so-called princess soft and angelic packaging, which means the contestant must possess that sweet an angelic face with an impeccable royal styling during the finals night, with emphasis on the latter one, royal styling. Kasi when siya, Meghan, Rowlene, Carolina, and now the reigning Queen Christina all possess that beautiful face that can definitely launch 1,000 ships with a royal styling wardrobe that makes them feel like a queen in their own right. And when I say royal styling wardrobe, that means their wardrobe, especially during the finals night, are not very sexy, but instead styles themselves in gowns that makes them royally elegant. So in other words, there are no slits and cleavages being revealed while choosing muted colors like white, pink, blush pink, or light blue colors on their respective gown styling. And instead of high slits, cleavages, and body-bearing gowns, you see past winners accessorizing them with ball gowns, capes, updo, hair buns, gloves, which are all styling choices of a typical royal British figure like Kate Middleton or the late Princess Diana, diba? Or Queen Elizabeth. And I don't know why our recent Miss World reps haven't paid particular attention to this kind of detail or observation. Now we go to my third observation here, which is it seems that contestants have a great singing talent, have the advantage to win the crown. I know this sounds crazy, but it kind of seems true just by looking at how the past winners have been determined in recent years. One contestant really has to study the British culture to do really well in Miss World. As we all know, the British is a stickler for tradition and have a high regard for monarchy. So it makes sense that their choice of music also goes hand in hand with high culture and refinement, which is its love for opera and classical music. And if you apply it here in Miss World, they seem to prefer contestants and put them on an advantageous position if they know how to sing and belt out classical or opera music, or play an instrument at the very least. Because Wen Shalu from China in year 2012 was not only beautiful, but also the first contestant, I remember, who won Miss World with this kind of talent in recent memory. And then Tony Ann Singh from Jamaica in 2019 wowed the world with her vocal chops with her rendition of Whitney Houston's I Have Nothing. Diba, naalala niyo yun? And similarly, Mr. Puerto Rico, apart from winning the sports award, wowed the crowd with his beautiful voice when he won the Talent Fast Track by doing the same thing last year. So this year, nakita niyo naman, Miss Cameron also sang for her talent showcase and emerged second overall to Miss Indonesia, who played the piano. Now let's go to my fourth observation, which is the contestant must have decent, if not strong, communication skills. I believe this is also one common denominator among all the winners of Miss World in recent years. They must have decent communication skills to win the crown. After all, this is the hallmark of its slogan, Beauty with a Purpose, where it champions or encourages all its contestants to take up an advocacy to better the lives of their respective communities. And in expounding and amplifying their voices for their respective projects, one must have decent communication skills to effectively convey her thoughts to the audience. And it doesn't matter whether she speaks fluent English or not, but she has the ability dapat to communicate her thoughts across the judges very well, especially during the BWAP portion. Because when you win Miss World, you will be subjected to doing a lot of press interviews and speeches, whether you are facing the media while being the spokesperson of the organization's numerous charitable causes worldwide. So in a way, the winner always acts like a diplomat or ambassador for MWO. And while the winner does not have the strongest BWAP project or the most eloquent, she must at least be charismatic and possess decent communication skills to get by. Now let's go to my fifth observation, which is the contestant has to be very chill and relaxed with her game plan in winning Miss World. Yes, I believe this is true. Believe it or not, guys. A Miss World title holder does not have to be hyper-focused or ultra-competitive with her fast-track event performances to win this title, because the crown isn't really guaranteed to you no matter how you excel in all these pre-pageant activities or the fast-track events. What the organization appreciates instead is when a candidate does the opposite and just treats her whole competition as some sort of a grand vacation in another country. Yup, Yep, this is true. And I have heard so many accounts from reliable first-hand sources who could attest to this. All these fast track events are just meant for the organization to see how well-rounded these ladies. But it doesn't mean that the most well-rounded or the one who excels most in these fast track events usually win. And for Miss World organization, it's really more about looking for a girl's behavior in shining the light on others instead of herself while doing all these activities in Miss World. Yes, it's really true. What Julia likes is someone who is very low-key, doesn't draw attention to herself, and not too hyper-focused on winning the fast track challenges, but instead is very chill and relaxed with her demeanor or game plan in Miss World. And that's one of the additional reasons, would you believe, how our very own Megan Young won the competition. Even if she did not have the strongest BWAP, but if you just display the right kind of attitude towards the members of or the organization behind the scenes, that's more of an effective way of winning the crown than winning all the fast track challenges combined. And similarly, this is how Mr. England Jack Heselwood won the crown back here in Manila when he competed for Mr. World 2019. I remember he was very low-key among all the heavy favorites back then, like Dominican Republic, Mexico, South Africa, but he eventually prevailed all the way just because the organization saw something in him behind the scenes, which ultimately led him to win the title here in Manila 6 years ago. But you know what, guys? Ultimately, these 5 observations do not matter if the contestant does not possess the most important quality of them all, which is having... Which leads me now to my 6th and final point of having a kind personality and great attitude. I may have talked about my first 5 observations earlier, but all those are nothing or will be nothing if you do not have the kindest personality in the pageant. You see, Julia chooses her girls very well because we have never seen her dethroning her queens for the past 40 years. Because I think the last dethronement or resignation that we heard about Miss World was back in 1973 and 1980. But after that, we haven't heard anything or similar news to it. Sure, you may come from a Commonwealth country while possessing that Miss World prototype with a gift of singing talent, but everything will just be futile if the lady does not have a pleasing attitude. Sure, you may say Julia chooses her winners very random, but when she chooses, which she has every right to do so because it's her pageant after all, she really chooses well. And by that, I mean she really observes and judges behind the scenes with feedback coming from her staff. And even if the candidate excels in all fast track events but has become unapproachable or ultra competitive in the eyes of Julia, she may not make it after all. So this girl has to display just the right amount of zeal and verve while being nice, jolly, and chill in winning this competition. And this is what makes Julia's pageant so unpredictable because you just really don't know what she's thinking at the moment, not until her ultimate favorite is revealed and crowned during the finals night. Because there is no preliminary competition like in Miss Universe for us to see who will win here in her pageant. Because at the end of the day, it's really all up to who Julia likes from the get-go. And if that particular person has lived up to the Miss World ideals during the entirety of the pageant. And the revelation just comes always during the finals night. So forget all about monitoring the fast track events with all those fan-made leaderboards because everything all boils down to Julia's preference. And whether you come from a powerhouse country or the tiniest nation in the world, you are all equal in Julia's eyes as everything just lies in one's attitude in winning the crown. Unfortunately, we all don't get to see behind the scenes. Only Julia knows until she says, and Miss World 2025 is revealed during the coronation night.